Hi, Heather here from Creative Kiwi. I've just put together a quick video showing how we make the bell topper that's part of this kitchen set. It's a two hooping design and it gives you that nice 3D effect of the flower. I'm just going to head straight into it. So the actual flower part can be made in a 4x4 hoop. The design itself, you need a full 5x7 hoop to complete the whole design. But here we go. I'm hooping 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer in the 4x4 hoop, and I'm just using pins there at the edge, just so there's no movement in that hoop. So we're straight to the machine, and we're just going to stitch the outline of the sunflower or the flower. It doesn't have to be a sunflower. It just stitches a guideline on that centerpiece that we'll use later when we're joining the design. The next step is just to add a piece of bashing or palette. I just use a thin polyester bashing. And it stitches around twice to give you a nice cutting edge. And again, we've got that center separated, so you can remove the bashing from the center. So here we go, we're just using some sharp scissors, just cut away that bashing from the outside and from that inner circle. So you kind of just stab your scissors into that centerpiece to make an opening that you can cut out the center. Now we back the design, so you need to put your piece of fabric with the wrong side facing the hoop. Now you can tape it in place, or you can see how I do it at the machine, where I float the fabric underneath the hoop. At this point, you can see through the stabilizer that the fabric is completely covering the area on the back. So I find that easy to do when you can see that. The next thing is just to attach that flower fabric. Now you can use a neutral thread. I'm just using black so you can actually see the outline. Again, it's going to stitch that centerpiece because we are going to cut that out for the joining in the second hoop. Back to cutting again, let's just cut away all that fabric on the front and back of the hoop. And just making sure you do cut away that center piece, as I say, it's used as the next step for joining. Back to the machine and just put in a matching bobbin threads because you will see the back of the sunflower. The first thing the design is going to do is just stitch the inner detail of the petal. Then it's going to go through and do a zigzag and then the final satin stitch edge. It's just going to leave that raw edge in the center. And that's it. That's the first part made. So just cut away the stabilizer close to the edges. We'll remove the rest later. And just leave the stabilizer in the center. That just makes it easy because it has the guideline on it. Next, we're doing the actual topper portion of the design. So that's why you need the 5x7 hoop. I've also provided a 6x10 size as well for this. So you're stitching the outline and again placing your thin bashing over the top and stitching it down. Again, we're going to have those inner portions of the design. So we're going to cut away the bashing from the outside and also in those inner portions. Right, let's get our backing fabric. So wrong side facing the hoop. And again, you could tape it in place on the back or float it underneath the hoop as I have done here. And now the design's just going to stitch. Again, it's going to stitch a double outline around the edge and stitch those inner areas that will be removed later. So off we are at the cutting board again. Like I say, just use a sharp pair of scissors and stab in the middle, and that will make a hole in the fabric that you can then get your scissors into to cut away the centre. And do that again on the front. Easy peasy. Now, again, change your bobbin thread to match and then just send it off to the machine to do the zigzag and satin stitch for the actual topper portion. Now, if you've got pretty fabric, you could just use this as a topper, no 3D element. But we're doing the sunflower, so the next step is just to stitch a matching guideline of where the sunflower is going to go on the topper. So you can see I've got a circle with the lines on the topper and a circle with the lines on the sunflower. So you can just use pins to align it. Just basically you're getting it into the centre. Doesn't matter so much with the sunflower, but I have got a teapot design that's similar that you need to be a bit more accurate with your joining. So you see there, you just take it to the machine and it's just going to attach that flower. Now it stitches outside of the edge, so there is a gap there. That's correct. It was just to give you some wiggle room for placement. And when you're happy, you just put your piece of sunflower in it over the top and attach. So that's the design joined to the topper, and you'll have that wonderful 3D effect. And there's really only one thing left now, which is just to stitch the actual satin stitch around the sunflower. Easy peasy. And here we go. That's the topper done. So I know it's 2 hoopings, but they're 2 very quick hoopings. And then we just, as we do, cutting away the excess stabiliser from the edges in the inner part. Now I show using a Q-tip and hot water just to remove that stabiliser from the edges, and that's fine. But because tea towels are going to be near moisture, you really need to soak this design to get all the water-soluble stabiliser out. Otherwise it'll crinkle up. So what I do, I just put them in with the wash in the washing machine, and then once they're dry and pressed, they look like new. And yes, that's my helpful Percy helping me. So there's the topper made, and you can see those satin stitch edges. That's why we say to use matching bobbin thread. Now I just used one of the designs from the set to add to the towel. Might as well show you the set. So here's I'm calling it a pot holder, but it's just coasters. 3 different sizes of and sizes of coasters to go with that design set. Makes a really cute kitchen. Not into flowers. Also done a similar one with the teacup. So you can make a towel topper in very much the same way. Anyway, thanks for watching.